Good morning. We always enjoy the fellowship prior to the ag meeting, but we'll hang around afterwards and have some more. Enjoy the time together. While everybody's getting situated, do we have any members that would like to introduce a guest? I'm not seeing any. We do have one new member to our Ag Committee, Representative Herron. Good to have you, and would welcome you to introduce yourself to the committee. Give us whatever you want to tell us about yourself.
Good morning. I'm Representative Herron, representing the 42nd District. It is a great pleasure to be here this morning. I am originally from Madison County, and my family did grow up on a farm out in Peytontown. So it is a great pleasure and honor to be here and learn and be in community with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to have you. So just a reminder, I'm sure as you sit through various committees, you know the routine about please silence your phone, and then if you're testifying, please sign up on the sheet on the podium out front there, and then testimony is within the chair's discretion based on time restraints and information already presented, and no signs are permitted in the committee rooms. So with that, we'll ask Ms. Susan to call the roll.
Representative Callaway.
Present in the room.
Representative Dixon. Representative Dossett. Representative Pfister.
Present in the room.
Representative Flood.
Present on the road, listening mode only.
Representative Graham. Representative Herron.
Present.
Representative Imes.
Here in the room.
Representative King.
Present in the room.
Representative Cook. Representative Kulkarni.
I'm present for my district.
Representative McPherson.
Present in the room.
Representative Pollock.
Present in the room.
Representative Pratt.
Present in the room.
Representative Rayburn. Representative Raymond. Representative Reed.
Here in the room.
Representative Stevenson. Representative Tate.
Present in the room.
Representative Thomas.
Present in the room.
Representative Tipton.
Present in the room.
Representative Hart.
Present in the room.
And Chairman Heath.
Present.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. We'll proceed with business, and we have some individuals who have 9 o'clock meetings, so we'll roll right through this. I don't think we have anything controversial. We'll just go right down the list with Senate Bill 121 and invite Senator Givens to the table, and anyone you might have with you. Leader Givens. You can introduce yourself for the record, and the floor is yours. You're not new at this process. So,
Chair Heath and members of the committee, thank you for the chance to be in front of you and present Senate Bill 121 for your consideration.
Is your mic on, or
I will pull it a little closer. Is that a little better?
Thank you.
Thank you. It is truly an honor to be here to present this bill for your consideration, and it builds on some work that we did a couple of years ago around agricultural sales tax exemptions. I'd like to explain it briefly. I know there's a committee sub, but if I could first do the base explanation, Mr. Chairman, if that pleases you, and
yes,
then we'll
sir.
move into adopting the sub.
Thank you.
So the way the ag exemption process works in Kentucky, and it's different in every state, but for sales tax items, some items in the ag sector are not taxed and some are taxed. Prior to us making some changes a couple of years ago, it was the role of the retailer to determine if someone was tax exempt or not based on them signing a certificate in the presence of the retailer. A couple of years ago, we changed that to say retailers really shouldn't be involved in deeming whether someone should be tax exempt or not. That should be the role of DOR. And we made the changes in statute then to move that registration process for licensure to the Department of Revenue, requiring farmers to submit an application with some detail, verifying the fact that they're regularly engaged in production agriculture, and then obtaining from the Department of Revenue an ag exemption license number. That was well and good, but it became apparent to us that the process was still too cumbersome, and that's the genesis of the legislation we have in front of us today. What was still going on was when the farmer would walk into the ag retailer's business with that license number, there was still a requirement that 2 certificates be kept on file at the ag retail location. And really, that was not needed. Once someone is deemed to be tax exempt for the items that can be purchased tax exempt, all that should be kept on file should be that license number. And in essence, that's what this legislation does as it originally appears before you. Now, Mr. Chairman, I am familiar with the contents of the sub, but have not been through them thoroughly. So if you have someone that wants to introduce the sub and or explain it, that would be great.
We'll be glad to do that. We have a motion and a second on the sub, and let me just draw your attention to that. I was involved in the language on the sub, and we changed the date from July 1 of 2022, July 1 of 2022 to January 1, 2023. So basically just extended this sign-up process for 6 months. Once you have the card, it's good for 4 years. So the expiration date in the committee sub was changed to December 31, 2026. And if memory serves me right, that's the only 2 things we did to the committee sub.
Chairman, I think you may have, and those are the substantive changes. I think you may have added a requirement that someone notify the department within 60 days of ceasing to engage in ag activity, and that's a very appropriate addition as well.
Yes, thank you. We have a motion and a second on the sub. Any questions? Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And both the sponsor and the chair have touched on what I had flagged on in my reading. It does say the person shall notify the department. I was just wondering how we're going to track that, and are there any repercussions for not reporting?
That's a good catch. I didn't see that. I don't think there's a way to track it or enforce it, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's a big enough issue that we need to change that word or just let nature take its course. I'm open for suggestions. If we want to move ahead with it, we can have this discussion on the side and address it if it needs to be addressed when it comes to the floor. But you are correct. There's not really a way to track that or enforce it.
Chair Heath, I don't think there is, and I think we could certainly go one of 2 ways. We could, Representative King, your question is well stated. I think we could certainly amend the language. In the absence of us amending the language, I would presume that obviously every 4 years the renewal has to happen. So if that person ceases to engage in ag activity, let's say at 2.5 years in to the time they've gotten their license, as long as no one used that license for purposes of any ag exempt purchases for that 1.5 years, there really would be no violation of the law. If someone wanted to protect themselves to keep maybe a partner or a hired assistant from using that number, then they would certainly want to make that notification. So I could see us either amending the language or letting the language go forward. I'm certainly supportive of whatever the House decides to do.
Okay, we can have that discussion. I was just sitting here thinking if we try it for a year and see if it creates a problem, we can always come back next year and tweak it.
Thank you both.
Okay. All right, I was just informed we need a voice vote on the sub. Representative Tipton, sorry.
Go ahead and take your voice vote, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take a voice vote on the committee sub and then come back to you. All in favor of passing the committee sub signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, nay. All right, thank you. We got the committee sub passed and before you, and Representative Tipton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Gibbons, appreciate you bringing this to us. I remember our discussion previously on this. Mm-hmm. I think it's a very important issue, a very timely issue. I've got my number stored in my contacts in my phone, so I hope I don't lose my phone. But I should have got a copy somewhere at home. But I just want to, on the original language of the bill, this current law, it states that in the application, the applicant could send a Schedule F or a couple of other pieces of documentation. It uses the word or. When I submitted my application, I sent a Schedule F in. They came back and asked for all of the additional other documentation. So they interpreted that as an and instead of an or. I just point that out that possibly there may be some communication with the Department of Revenue and make sure they are appropriately training their staff on this.
Representative, thank you. And if I could reply briefly, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Representative Tipton, great point. And I encourage all of you to be ambassadors for this process. We need our ag community to know this process is in place. I fully support the 6-month further extension of the dual process. The dual process means the certificates right now that we have on file provide that blanket of exemption. The DOR number provides that blanket of exemption. Your question is really good related to the way that DOR is interpreting the and or the or. And after communication with them, and you must have been one of the earliest applicants in the process, because we have clarified with them that it doesn't include the word and, it only needs to be one of those. To their credit, DOR has worked with us. They're trying hard to get it right. As you talk with farmers in your community, the Schedule F is the best way to expedite this process. Encourage your farmers, if they submit an application, to go ahead and send the Schedule F with it. If they send a Farm Service Agency ID number, then DOR is actually trying to cross-reference that over to make sure the farmer is actively engaged in agriculture that is tax exempt. Because understand, horse farmers are not tax exempt and should not be obtaining a number if you are solely a horse farmer. In addition, and thanks for the chance to reflect on these things, there is penalty of law if someone falsifies this. If you as a farmer tries to fly under the cloak of I'm tax exempt and you don't generate ag revenues, then when the time comes, if you were to get audited, you will suffer the consequences and should suffer those consequences. We need to get this right to protect the integrity of the ag exemption process.
Motion on the bill.
Thank you.
So the motion would need to be motion on the bill as amended by the committee substitute. Is that okay? Okay, that's the motion then, and we have a second?
Second.
Before we take the vote, Representative McPherson had a comment. Sorry.
Senator Givens, I appreciate you bringing this forward. And in our area, we have a lot of farmers in the CREP program, and some of them, that's the only thing they have on their farm. You know, this does not qualify them. If they show that on the application, that that's their income, this makes them not eligible for this. I called and talked to them about it, and they don't consider that a income to the farm. And I had a long discussion with them. I said, well, so you get income from the farm, you get a 1099, you are required to bush hog, you're required to maintain that property, but you don't consider that income to the farm. And they confirmed that 2 or 3 times and said that's correct. So I got on the radio and told my people to make sure they sent their Schedule F and did not, and put other as far as in the CREP program, land in the CREP. So I just think that's a poor interpretation of what farm income would be if you're cash leasing your farm to the government and you're required to maintain it.
Brief comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Representative McPherson, great point, great question. And those are the sorts of things that DOR is interpreting that I'm so glad our ag retailers are not having to stand behind the counter and try to decide if someone's tax exempt or not. Because previously, prior to this legislation, in those days, if DOR were faced with the question, they would probably interpret it the same way, and the ag retailer would be on the hook for having misinterpreted it, if that makes sense. Now, to your point, maybe we need to provide some clarification to DOR about ag activities, what are and what are not. But great question.
Any other questions before we take the vote? Seeing none, we'll take the vote.
Representative Callaway,
Yes.
Representative Dixon,
Yes.
Representative Dossett,
Yes.
Representative Pfister,
Yes.
Representative Graham,
Yes.
Representative Hart,
Yes.
Representative Herron, Representative Imes,
Yes.
Representative Kim King,
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Cook,
Yes.
Representative McPherson,
Yes.
Representative Pollock,
Yes.
Representative Pratt,
Yes.
Representative Rayburn,
Yes.
Representative Raymond, Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Stevenson, Representative Tate, Representative Thomas,
Aye.
Representative Tipton,
Yes.
and Chairman Heath.
Yes.
Passes.
Motion passes with favorable expression, and thank you, Leader Givens, for bringing the bill and getting this cleared up. Our retailers will appreciate it very much.
Good. Chair Heath, thank you, and to each of the members of the committee, thank you for your consideration.
So we'll bring Senator Hornbeck to the table and his guests as he needs them, and we'll just go right into Senate Bill 53 and introduce yourself for the record, and the floor is yours, Chairman Hornbeck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate being here today, and appreciate the Ag Committee, the House Ag Committee digging out some of my bills that have been laying there a while and getting them heard. So thank you all very much.
Yeah. Happy to do it.
I was hoping you hadn't lost them. We'll start out today with a Senate Bill 53, and as you know, Mr. Chairman, these programs that we're going to talk about here today are programs that are very important and mostly important to our young farmers, our smaller farmers. It utilizes the investment that's made in equipment to an extent that it's spread out a bunch amongst a lot of farmers. It's a program that's been in place for many, many years. And the reason for addressing this issue is just a year ago, the Revenue Cabinet decided we hadn't been implementing these right for the last 60, 70 years. And so we made some changes to make sure it conformed with what they intended. And I'm going to turn it over to Alan. You going?
Yes.
Alan, if you didn't introduce yourself.
My name is Alan Bryan. I'm from Henry County, and I currently serve as the Vice President of the Kentucky Association of Conservation Districts. Also serve as Chairman on the Henry County Conservation District. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, my name is Alan Bryant. I'm from Henry County. I farm. I serve as the Vice President of the Kentucky Association of Conservation Districts. Also serve on the Henry County Conservation District Board as the Chairman. And I'll turn it over to.
My name is Shane Wells. I'm a farmer from Butler County, and I'm president of the Kentucky Association of Conservation Districts.
Welcome.
You want me to go ahead and talk about 53?
Yeah.
Yes.
Senate Bill 53 came about because we have a highly successful program that the conservation districts are very proud of, the revolving loan program. It started in 1948 to assist conservation districts and farmers in getting heavy equipment that they didn't have in rural areas at that time to do conservation work. And just a couple of years ago, legal counsel advised the Soil and Water Commission that oversees the program that they felt there were some problems in the statute that didn't allow them to loan money to a contractor to do work. Typically, on some of the higher end equipment that required specialized skills, a conservation district would lease that, loan the money, get the loan from the commission, lease that money, then lease it to an operator. And they felt like that wasn't provided in the statute, so Senator Hornbeck has worked with us to clarify that language. Just a quick history, $62 million loaned since 1948, and it's been very well run, less than 1% loan loss over that time. It's actually paid the state back. Initially, there was about $2 million put into the program, and over the years, the legislature has swept over $4 million out of that account. So we're real proud of the program and would like to continue in the way that we have in the past because it's a big benefit to farmers and landowners in Kentucky.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? If not, we'll entertain a motion on the bill. We have a motion and a second. If there's no questions, we'll take the roll.
Representative Callaway,
Yes.
Representative Dixon, Representative Dossett,
Yes.
Representative Pfister,
Yes.
Representative Graham,
Yes.
Representative Hart, Representative Herron, Representative Imes,
Yes.
Representative Kim King,
Yes, ma'am. Brief comment, Chair?
Yes.
I appreciate you all bringing this today, and I know we've had this conversation for several months, so good work on your due diligence, and yes, I vote yes. Thank you.
Representative Cook,
Yes.
Representative McPherson,
Yes.
Representative Pollock,
Yes.
Representative Pratt,
Yes.
Representative Rayburn,
Yes.
Representative Raymond, Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Stevenson, Representative Tate,
Yes.
Representative Thomas, Representative Tipton,
Yes.
and Chairman Heath.
Yes.
Passes.
So the bill passes with favorable expression. Congratulations. And,
Thank you.
We'll go to Senate Bill 54.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just for your information, I don't mind my bills being on consent.
Okay. Our House leadership has a problem with it.
Senate Bill 54 deals with commission members, and this was brought to us by one of the counties because there was a gentleman elected, and he's a very good representative on the committee that was not an adult, was elected, duly elected, but is not an adult, and we thought that maybe since they were handling public funds, that they probably should be an adult in some way. So we're bringing this bill, and I think Mr. Bryant is going to speak to it.
Yes, Senate Bill 54 does two things. First thing, for each Kentucky Association Conservation District area, it would allow KACD to submit 2 names for the Soil and Water Commission. With the onset of Zoom meetings, there was a legal opinion, I think, from for the Division of Conservation that said the majority of supervisors in an area, for example, Area 5, there's 15 counties, that would be there would have to be at least 53 that would attend a conservation area meeting. And folks, we've kind of struggled to do that. So as a result of this, this would help KACD to make those appointments. Just about all the supervisors, they, it's volunteer. They have full-time jobs. They farm. It's busy. It's always challenging to have enough people to make that. So that would make it a little bit easier for appointments to the Soil and Water Commission. Second thing is it establishes a minimum age of 18, and with the substitutes on there.
So we have a motion and a second on the bill. You're welcome to continue if you.
No, I'm good.
Oh, we have a question, Representative Stevenson.
Hey, I just wondered, is the person under 18 right now, are they grandfathered in with this? Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Just moving forward.
Yes,
Okay,
they are.
thank
They're
you.
grandfathered in.
Thank you. Any other questions? Representative Graham.
Can I ask the question? Is the young person who is on the board, is he attending meetings and being engaged in the process?
Representative Graham, he's a good member.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that. He's a good member, but we just felt like he's elected when he was 16.
Oh, my goodness.
And like has been said, he had to ask his parents' permission to go to a meeting to give out public money.
Or did he have his driver's license prior to?
No, not when he got elected.
Well, I'll say this, Senator. I admire his tenaciousness and his reason to want to serve. Mm-hmm. And I just hope that he keeps that in mind, and I appreciate the fact that we're grandfathering him in. If he's engaged and involved, who knows, he may wind up being Commissioner of Agriculture or Governor of the Commonwealth from this experience that he's having. So I'm very proud of the fact that he took it upon himself to do it. He had the initiative to do it, and I would hope a lot more young people not running for office at 16, but be engaged in the process. Thank you so much.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if you could,
yes.
I'd caution Representative Graham because he lives close to you, close to your district, maybe in your district, and he may be running for your office first.
Representative Heath, if I could, I appreciate Representative Graham's comments, and I'd like to point out that in all 121 conservation districts, we have the availability of a junior board that a lot of FFA members and 4-H take part in. It's an excellent training program, so we need soil conservation supervisors in the pipeline coming up, so we're more than happy for youth to be engaged in soil conservation.
Yeah, that's good information. Thanks for sharing.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments or questions? We'll take the roll.
Representative Callaway,
Yes.
Representative Dixon, Representative Dossett, Representative Pfister,
Yes.
Representative Graham,
Yes.
Representative Hart,
Yes.
Representative Herron, Representative Imes,
Yes.
Representative Kim King,
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Cook,
Yes.
Representative McPherson,
Yes.
Representative Pollock,
Yes.
Representative Pratt,
Yes.
Representative Rayburn,
Yes.
Representative Raymond, Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Stevenson,
Yes.
Representative Tate,
Yes.
Representative Thomas,
Aye.
Representative Tipton,
Yes.
and Chairman Heath.
Yes. So the bill passes with favorable expression, and in all seriousness, Chairman Hornback, our House rules does not let us do consent. It does speed things along on the House floor, but for whatever reason.
I'm trying.
Yes, sir. Thank you, gentlemen, and we'll move on to Senate Bill 148.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'm going to first let my guests introduce themselves for the record.
Yes, please.
Morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Gosnell. I'm Director of Government Affairs at App Harvest, formerly leading development efforts here.
Keith Rogers, Chief of Staff for Commissioner Ryan Quarles, Kentucky Department of Agriculture.
Welcome.
I'm going to be very brief, Mr. Chairman. This is about controlled environment ag facilities such as App Harvest, where we have the greenhouses and appreciate their investments they've made in Kentucky. But we've also got some others that are interested in Kentucky, too. I would like to take an opportunity to thank Department of Building and Housing and Rick Rand especially for their working with us on this bill, because we always all have the safety of the public in mind and the employees in mind as the top priority when we went through this. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman Heath, I thank everyone here for the time and consideration today. This has been a long time coming, discussing a definition of controlled environment agriculture, a new sector for this state. App Harvest is very proud to have deployed more than $400 million in capital expenditure in just over 3 years. This is going to allow us to address a regulatory shortfall, or gap, I should say. Essentially, controlled environment agriculture as a new sector doesn't have regulatory coverage. So in defining this here, it allows the regulators to come behind and put the technical language into statute that allows us the budgetary clarity that'll make sure we can keep making investments like this in Kentucky. I should mention we are very proud also to have contributed about $30 million in tax revenue through our employees to the state last year. We hired 500 people in 3 years. We're looking to hire about 600 more this year as we stand up 3 facilities, Madison County to Somerset. So thank you very much for the consideration here, and really appreciative.
Mr. Chairman, I want to first of all say thank you to Senator Hornback and his leadership on this issue. This is an issue that KDA first became aware of about 5 years ago when Kentucky Fresh Harvest was beginning to develop its operation in the Stanford area. We worked with Building and Housing at that point in time to kind of get through a couple things that we had to do then, but this legislation really resolves the issue that it's kind of been ongoing for these types of facilities for the last 4 or 5 years. And so we appreciate Senator Hornback's leadership, and KDA fully supports this, Commissioner fully supports this, and we urge your passage this morning.
Motion on the bill.
Second. We have a motion.
If I could just have one more comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm very appreciative of a lot of people that have helped push this through. I want to second Chairman Hornback's comments towards Rick Rand and Housing and Building Code. 2 successive administrations have worked through this issue, and a lot of people have come to the table. Kelly Ludwig, very critical to corralling a lot of people. Chairman Hornback himself for taking a lot of time to come out to the facility, understand this issue, really understand how this is not going to affect the safety of workers. So very grateful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and we do have a motion and a second. We have Representative Stevenson.
Hi, and I'm a huge fan of App Harvest. Keep bringing those tomatoes in the winter. Yes, amazing. I do have one question, though. In section 12C, or subsection 12C, it says, shall not be used for retail sales or allow open access to the public. I mean, I'm guessing that's like for sanitation and things, but can you expand on that just a little bit?
The difference here is how the code views a commercial versus a production facility. Commercial facilities can allow the public to access, buy the tomatoes on site. important for us to distinguish that we're not going to do that for worker safety, for plant safety. So it's trying to use some language that's already in the code to kind of tee up what comes next.
Okay, and one follow-up.
Yes.
I'm kind of hopeful. I know, App Harvest is kind of like this little shining jewel, and so many people are drawn to it and want to know about it. What kind of agritourism are you doing there? Are you giving like plant tours or anything like that? And if so, will this affect that in the future?
We are very hopeful that we can get every member here out to the greenhouse as soon as possible. We want to make sure we're not opening it to the public. We do have select tours that don't go in the plant areas themselves, but can understand the facility by entering our pack house. It is a 2.8 million square foot facility, so there's a lot of space to cover, but you can learn a lot about it just from kind of a central location. But as far as the tourism, obviously we want to contribute to agritourism space. We think there's a lot of potential here, especially with research and development discussions that are happening. So the potential is there. We hope we can be a part of that.
Awesome, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just an example of the language that you question and how that ties in with agritourism. When Building and Housing looks at it and gives some of these exemptions, it may be something that they don't have to put sprinklers in that area. So then if they were going to allow it to be open to the public for tours, agritourism, those type of things, Building and Housing needs to take another look at what the exemptions are then. And it's just public safety.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? We have a motion and second, so we'll take the roll.
Representative Callaway?
May I briefly explain my vote?
Yes.
First, I want to thank Senator Hornback for allowing me to present in Senate Ag Committee on yesterday and passing my bill through your committee as well. Appreciate being able to do that. And also, Mr. Pat Henderson has called and kept me aware of all of these bills that have been coming through your committee, and I appreciate him being able to do that and explain some of these things to me from his standpoint. Some of you know him. He's been around for a long time, so appreciate him doing that. Thank you. Yes.
Representative Dixon? Representative Dossett? Representative Pfister?
Yes, and I would also like to thank the senator for hearing my bills in the Senate committee as well. Thank you, sir.
Representative Graham?
Yes.
Representative Hart?
Yes.
Representative Herron? I'm sorry?
Yes.
Representative Imes? Representative Kim King?
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Cook?
Yes.
Representative McPherson?
Yes.
Representative Pollock?
Yes.
Representative Pratt?
Yes.
Representative Rayburn?
Yes.
Representative Raymond? Representative
I'm here, Raymond here in my annex office. Yes.
Thank you. Representative Reed?
Yes.
Representative Stevenson?
Yes.
Representative Tate?
Yes.
Representative Thomas? Representative Tipton?
Yes.
And Chairman Heath?
Yes. Bill passes with favorable expression.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. And if I remember correctly, Representative Callaway and Representative Pfister, I think your all's are on consent.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. Some of our members had to step out to go to another committee, so we didn't offend anybody. They just have multiple tasks they're performing this morning. So we're ready for House Joint Resolution 41. Representative Bowling. And Representative Bowling, if you will introduce yourself for the record, and your guest can introduce himself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Adam Bowling, State Representative, 87th District, representing Bell and Harlan counties. And with me today I have
Dr. Jeff Stringer. I'm chair of the Department of Forestry and Natural Resources in the College of Agriculture, Food and the Environment at the University of Kentucky.
Welcome. Good to have you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. It's my first time in front of the Ag Committee, so hopefully I get a good welcome. Well-managed, family-owned, non-industrial forests are central to providing the raw material that fuels Kentucky's $13 to $14 billion in economic contributions from the forestry industry sector annually. Incentivizing family forest owners who own the majority of forest land in Kentucky to conduct sound forest practices will help sustain the socioeconomic benefits that forest providers provide for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. In 2002 session, a report was done by the Legislative Research Commission, which identified tax and related policies that had the effect of incentivizing or disincentivizing good forest management practices. The examination of property tax issues produced conflicting views on how to equitably and constitutionally assess property taxes on well-managed forest lands. So in 2002, there was a problem identified, and since that time, no solution has been come up to solve the problem. So,
we have a motion and a second for the adoption. Any questions, or you guys need to give us any additional information? Representative Tipton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I'm reading this and trying to understand this, I know our Constitution says that a real property has to be assessed at fair market value. Mm-hmm. We do have the agricultural exemption for active farmland. Am I interpreting that these forest lands are in between there somewhere, and we're trying to find a solution? Could you kind of just comment on that and exactly what the issue is?
Sure, be glad to. So, well, in describing what well-managed forest lands are, those are lands where the woodland owners are actively engaged in the management of that crop, okay? Timber crop instead of a corn crop, that kind of thing, right? So from that standpoint, this resolution asks the Department of Revenue and us, my department, to work out that equitable strategy for assessment of that managed forest land. Now, that's not forest land that's just sitting there where no one's engaged in the cultivation of it, okay? It would be strictly those lands where the landowner can prove that they were actively engaged in a form of agriculture, in this case, relating to forestry.
Representative Tate.
Thank you very much. In Section 1, it does talk a lot about the LRC recommendation for the tax assessment, and it also talks about the well-managed. So will part of that recommendation be what the definition is of the well-managed?
Yes.
And is that like an industry standard?
Yeah,
or is
so
that something that we'll need to come up with?
Right. Well, there's different ways of proving that. We've had discussions about that before, and there are mechanisms that any woodland owner in the state could take a hold of and get involved with at no charge, right? So that you had evidence there that they were actually engaged in the management of the forest. For example, one example would be whether they hold a tree farm certificate or not, and holding that certificate. And that's free of charge at this point in time. The Kentucky Division of Forestry Service Foresters provide assistance to landowners, help do that, right? So you could, a PVA, for example, as proof of a landowner having a well-managed forest, could accept a tree farm certificate, could accept a plan that was written by the Division of Forestry for the management of their property and indications that they've done that management. So we will work, that will be part of it, to work that out.
Great, thank you.
Representative Pollock.
Just a comment. I've got a dear friend of mine who's got about 25 acres there on his tree farm, and his whole goal was to plant trees there in that 25 acres for his grandchildren's college education down the road. And so anyway, just wanted to share that thought. My question would be, like him, do we have a number across the Commonwealth, excuse me, how many tree farmers roughly what we may have?
Yeah, so you've got I don't know the number. The acreage is somewhere between 250,000 and 300,000. I don't know what the number is.
Sure. Good. Thank you, sir.
Representative King.
Thank you, sir. You just mentioned the acreage overall. Is there a minimum or maximum or any kind of parameters for your resolution individually?
Not in the resolution, but that will be something that they study and come out with recommendations for how to fix that problem.
And maybe part of the definition that Representative Tate referenced, something like that. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll take the roll.
Representative Callaway?
Yes.
Representative Dixon?
Yes.
Representative Dossett?
Yes.
Representative Pfister,
Yes.
Representative Graham,
Yes.
Representative Hart,
Yes.
Representative Herron, Representative Imes, Representative Kim King,
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Cook, Representative McPherson,
Yes.
Representative Pollock,
Yes.
Representative Pratt, Representative Rayburn,
Yes.
Representative Raymond,
Yes.
Representative Reed,
Yes.
Representative Stevenson, Representative Tate,
Yes.
Representative Thomas,
Aye.
Representative Tipton,
Yes.
and Chairman Heath.
Yes, and Representative Johnson, I'm sorry, Dixon, did you have a question or comment?
Yes, please. I'd like to record a yes vote on Senate Bill 53. Record a yes vote on Senate Bill 54 and a yes on Senate Bill 148.
And then Representative Thomas.
Yes, I'd like to record a yes vote on Senate Bill 148.
I'll go ahead and finish up this one. The House Joint Resolution 41 passes with favorable expression.
Thank you, Chairman Heath. Thank you, committee.
Thank you guys for coming. And Representative Imes, would you like to record a vote? Do you know which ones Imes missed?
It was
Chairman Heath, I need to record a yes vote on.
Use your mic or talk into your mic.
I need to record a yes vote on Senate Bill 148 and House Joint Resolution 41, please.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Thomas.
Yes.
Just in case, I can't remember if I voted for SB 54, but I'm a yes vote on that one also.
Okay, thank you.
Can't remember when I walked out.
It gets confusing when you have to juggle between two committees.
Okay.
All right. So we're ready to move on with House Resolution. We're doing 15, or you want to just go back to? But we'll do 15 and go from there. Is that okay?
That'd be fine, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Thank you all. Thank you to the Agriculture Committee. I think this concludes our round of happy resolutions for the year. So what a great way to conclude this morning. House Resolution 15 celebrates National Agricultural Day on March 22nd. I have with me here representing Department of Agriculture, Mr. Keith Rogers. National Agriculture Day is truly important to all of us. You all feel free. The resolution speaks for itself, absolutely. But if y'all want, any member of the committee want to say a few words, I totally understand. And
we have a motion and a second on the resolution. Representative Tipton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Reed, I appreciate you all being here. Mr. Rogers, Mr. Pryor, being a lifelong farmer, I certainly appreciate this. I know that agriculture has had its ups and downs. I understand, and Keith, you may want to comment on this. And I guess my question is, what are the major challenges facing farmers and agriculture in Kentucky today? I know we've got extremely high input cost right now. Could you just share a little bit from the department's perspective about what some of the challenges are and what some of the bright spots are for agriculture?
Be glad to, Representative Tipton. Appreciate that opportunity. You know, anytime that you have a situation as we have, and all of our hearts go out to the folks of Ukraine, it's just it's a sad situation of what we're seeing and happen over there. But when you have a situation like that, you have the volatility in the marketplace, both for our agriculture commodities that we produce, but the inputs such as fertilizer and oil that come out of that part of the world. It just puts our farmers in a catch-22 that they have no control over. I spoke with a farmer this weekend from West Kentucky who said, yes, wheat prices are at record at levels at this point, but nobody will enter into a contract at that price level. You know, we understand that the inputs, whether it be diesel fuel or fertilizer or whatever, crop inputs are really, rampantly increased over the last several months, even before the Ukraine invasion. But when they're unable to take advantage of the upside on the commodity prices to help offset that, it really puts them at a disadvantage. But, you know, we continue to monitor the situation. You know, one of the things that I keep thinking through this, as I've always have, and Representative Tipton, you and I go back a long way in the agriculture community, Farm Bureau, and everywhere else. But I always focus on the long term. Yep, the short term hurts, and the short term can be devastating to our bottom line. But in the long term, we have a strong agriculture industry in the United States. We have a strong network of trade partners across the world. And even though we may be going through a very difficult time that's painful for a lot of our farmers, we're going to come out the other end much better for it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Representative McPherson.
Just a comment. You know, people talk all the time about problem with our society today, and we can debate that all day, but I think one of the big problems is the loss of the family farm. When the family farm is losing and leaving and going more to a factory type situation, the next generation, as we grew up, you know, nobody, we raised 20 acres of tobacco and nobody was paid. We all went and we raised tobacco, we did the things, we went to the tobacco barn, we stripped, we did, and at harvest time, then everybody got a paycheck. But we did it together. You know, we gained together and we lost together, and we had a sense of accomplishment. We had a sense of work ethic. And I think that's something that, because we're losing the family farm, people want to know when they hire people why they can't expect them to come to work on time, why they don't have the work ethic that they used to have. And I think the loss of the family farm is a big problem with this. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Representative McPherson, that's absolutely right. I will say, though, I did get proudly paid by Grandma's Biscuits and Gravy.
I appreciate you bringing the resolution, Representative Reed. It gives us reason to pause and stop and reflect, and I think that's the purpose of the resolution. It's you know how it goes, out of sight, out of mind. If we never stop and think about these things, and then we tend to just roll on with life. I think it'd be appropriate, Keith, if you wouldn't mind sharing with this group some of the challenges the department faces. We were talking about this in the hallway there just a while ago, trying to hire quality help and retain help.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The state government and the Department of Agriculture is no different than many of your all's businesses or our businesses across the state of Kentucky and across the country in hiring in this, you know, hopefully the end of the pandemic, but basically in a situation where skilled labor particularly, is short, and it's short on our farms too. It's our farm community is really hurting. I know we're running into issues in getting H-2A workers into the United States right now because of some of the issues related to the Ukraine war. But I know that you all in the House have addressed salary increases, and I certainly look forward to seeing what the Senate puts forward in their budget too. But we have faced over the last couple of years some real difficulty in, one, retaining skilled employees at the Department of Agriculture, but really in recruiting. Our salary levels are completely out of line with where the private sector is. I can give you an example in the organics program that we certify. Our starting salary in organics is right at $30,000. The private sector is $44,000 for an organic inspector. What happens is we bring somebody on, we spend $5,000, $7,000 in training them, and then the private sector comes in and sweeps them out, and we have to start all over again. It's been a difficult challenge there. I had a call yesterday in the efforts of trying to hire a deputy state veterinarian. Again, we are just nowhere near competitive on the national level, salary level, of where that type of person or type of caliber experience has to be. The commissioner directed myself and our HR director a little over a year ago to do what we could within the budget that we did. I'll share with you, when the commissioner arrived in office 6 years ago, the last Ag Inspector 1 that was hired at the department before we got there was hired at $21,800. An annual salary of $21,800. We immediately, without any additional revenue, raised that to $25,000. And a little over a year ago, he challenged me and our HR director to get everyone to $30,000. Last May and June, we implemented that plan with the new reclassification of some of those lower paid positions, such as an Ag Inspector 1, and we've got everybody now to 30,000. After their 6-month probationary period, they're at least at 30 or just above $30,000. But we've done that internally. We've done that with money savings. We did not have the ability to do much else beyond that. And so we do thank you for the efforts that you all have made in your House budget, and we certainly look forward to working with you in the Senate through conference committee to make sure that we can retain the employees and recruit the employees that we need to support agriculture, our regulatory functions such as gas pumps and amusement rides, and also be able to further advance Kentucky agriculture. And let me say thank you to Representative Reed also for this resolution and the others that he's put forward this year. He is a strong supporter of agriculture. I don't think I have to tell you all that. And I'm very proud to call him my neighbor, actually. I'm Hardin County, he's LaRue, but we're neighbors, so appreciate that. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and appreciate the update. Obviously, Kentucky Department of Agriculture is part of national agriculture. Any closing comments? Representative Stevenson, almost overlooked you.
That's quite all right. I mean, I just wanted to take the opportunity, to thank Representative Reed for bringing this. You know, it's evident that agriculture is essential, but I really want to commend our Kentucky farmers for all that they've done and that they continue to do to bring us high-quality products. You know, a lot of people have struggled the last couple of years, but I think the farmers here in Kentucky really proved their resiliency, and I'm just so proud of that. I'm proud of the industry, and I'm grateful that we have such you know, such strong ag programs, and you know, that the industry here in Kentucky is going strong.
Thank you. We will pass this one with a voice vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay? And the resolution passes. So we'll continue on with House Resolution 36.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Resolution 36 represents March 19th as National Poultry Day. I have with me Mr. Ronnie Pryor, and he wants to say a little bit about the industry.
Thank you, Representative Reed and Chairman Heath and members of the committee. I'm Ronnie Pryor with the firm Capital Solutions, and I represent two longtime clients in this space, the Kentucky Poultry Federation and their staff and employees and members, and Tyson Foods. And where it's obviously a major player not only in Kentucky but in the U.S. and in the world. You know, if you look at things in the poultry industry, $1.2 billion of revenue, 300 million broilers per year in Kentucky. Now think about that one for a second. 365 days, 300 million broilers. And it's not just, you know, and the poultry industry is the largest single buyer of corn and soybeans in Kentucky. And if you live close to a feed mill for a poultry company, you know that because you know what kind of premiums they pay to get the product. Kentucky is a big turkey state. You probably don't know that. You know, everybody thinks about turkey at Thanksgiving, but they come from somewhere. And guess what? A lot of them are coming from Kentucky now. Millions and millions and millions of dollars worth are coming from Kentucky. I was down in the cafeteria with Representative Heath this morning and had a couple of my usually hard eggs and bacon with them. You don't think about Kentucky as an egg state, and Keith Rogers was in the egg business for many, many years. We have two counties in Kentucky, Todd County and Muhlenberg County, that produce 20 million eggs a week. And so, you know, things are hitting on all cylinders with the poultry industry. We're very thankful for having that industry and expansion in Kentucky. Representative Dixon, I know you have a Tyson plant there in the edge of your district and really in the middle of it. You know, there's certainly one over in Albany, Kentucky. They own a non-poultry things in Kentucky, pepperoni plant in northern Kentucky. And I think they just announced Representative McPherson, the largest bacon plant in the world in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So, but I also want to thank Representative Reed. You know, he's like the mailman. He always delivers. And he recognizes the importance of agriculture, not just in his life, but in everybody's life. And again, sometimes it's taken for granted. And Representative McPherson, you mentioned the family farm. Again, people think about these mega corporations in the poultry industry. Well, guess what? In Kentucky, the poultry farm that raises a chicken is owned by a family. They're usually 4 or 5 houses, and that they're family farmers, and in many cases have work off the farm, but the poultry houses supplement their income to help them make a living. And so it is very much a family operation in Kentucky. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Representative McPherson.
So as a real estate appraiser, I've appraised quite a few of these, and you're exactly right. They're kind of the new dairy. Because you've got to be there to collect those eggs, and you've got to be there, and everybody takes part. Everybody from the small kids to the grown adults can take part in that, and it just brings the family unit back together. So I really appreciate what you're saying there, and it's a way to diversify off the tobacco and the beef and things, and to have a consistent income onto the farm. I appreciate that.
Well, and we had a couple of setbacks, in the last few months. Obviously, the tornadoes. Representative Heath, you know that better than anybody. It hit the Pilgrim's Feed Mill, hit some farmers down there very hard. We had a little bout, as some of you know, with avian influenza in far west Kentucky in the Fulton-Hickman County area. Fortunately, that's been contained at this point. So, but somebody mentioned the word resilient, and our farmers are, and our poultry farmers are, and we're here for the long haul, I can tell you that.
Thank you. And speaking of the tornado, I know Pilgrim's lost 2 hatcheries, and it's going to adversely affect our farmers going forward. My understanding is they're only going to be able to produce half the chicks that our farmers need, or half of what they received last year. So we're still waiting to see what the fallout from that is. But it's amazing what one tornado can do to interrupt the entire food chain.
And Representative Heath, I think you remember, thousands of people stepped up to the plate during the tornado to help out with their hands, with their wallets, and with their prayers. But Tyson Foods is one of the first ones that stepped up and donated 1 million meals to Kentucky and Tennessee to help out during the recovery.
Thank you for saying that. It's so easy to forget if we don't keep reminding. Any other comments? We will pass this one with a voice vote also. I guess we need a motion. Motion and a second on Resolution 36. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. And resolution carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Unless we need to collect some votes from someone remote that tuned in remotely, or we have those meetings adjourned. You want that back? Or? Sure.